This is GY Radio, the little station with big intentions.
You better know that.
The Truth Entertainment presents Reggae Sunsplash, a spectacular showcase bringing you the best in authentic UK reggae and lovers rock artists on Saturday 30th of July at the 2 Funky Music Cafe in Leicester, starring live Tipperary. Singing all their hits, Tipperary and Winsome. Winsome and Tipperary performing live at Reggae Sunsplash, supported by Leicester's very own Tanai Brown, hosted by Daddy Fishhead, music from Viking Sound and Tipperary's DJ Keith Lawrence. One for the big people, strictly over 25s. Tickets start at £10 from Skiddle. It's more on the door. Reggae Sunsplash starring Tipperary and Winsome. Saturday, 30th of July, 10:30 till 4 a.m. at the 2 Funky Music Cafe, Leicester. Authentic Caribbean food available, served by G-Mar's Kitchen.
James Shoe Care is your multi-service store in Barkingside, and Martin Winter has now been trading there for 13 years. Repairing your shoes, cutting your keys, engraving and supplying your sports trophies, stocks, leather and travel goods, repairing your watches and giving you the best service ever. He opens from 9 to 5:30, Monday to Saturday. So pop in. James Shoe Care, 97 High Street, Barkingside, Essex, IG6 2AH. Visit jscbarkingside.co.uk. Call 07985 118 123. James Shoe Care, Barkingside. We're not just a load of cobblers.
Martin Winter and Michael Simon invites you to Celebration of Life on Saturday, 24th of September, taking place at the beautiful Woolston Manor Country Club, Chigwell, Essex, IG7 6BX. It's the black and white Leo and Virgo affair. Men in suits, ladies in dresses. From 9 till late, there will be 2 rooms of ultimate raving experience. Room 1, Studio Express, MJR Roadshow, Swaby Irie, ELC and DMAC, hosted by Fats OHO. Room 2, Mosty G, DJ Countryman, DJ Christos, Sharky DJ, PC Nightlife featuring Errol Lloyd, hosted by Polito Don. This is a ticket-only event. Early birds £20, then £25 thereafter. Available from getyourtickets.co.uk, MSP, James Shoe Care, or the DJs. Group bookings and VIP tables are available with coaches from Birmingham. Call in 07985 118 123. Celebration of Life, Saturday, 24th of September at Woolston Manor. Let's all celebrate life together. Live media and hospitality by House Party Queen.
Exquisite. Saturday, 16th of July, 7 p.m. till 3 a.m. at the Onyx. Featuring live performances from Rose Windross, Donny, Loose Ends, Ida Divine from America, and all hosted by Curtis Walker. Entertainment by Special Touch, Latest Edition, ELC, DMAC, Da Vinci and Terry P, Juxie Juice, DJ Pico, Busy B, Bigger World and Lady Empress. And if it's your birthday in July, you get him free on the guest list.
I know what you're missing.
Tickets £25, including free coach seats from London while they last. Available from eventbrite.co.uk and getyourtickets.co.uk. For the birthday guest list, VIP reservations and group bookings, call 07793 0123 09. Exquisite. Saturday, 16th of July at the Onyx.
This October, MCO Emporium bring you the Green Dress Ball.
Green dress, black tie.
Saturday, 8th October, Pall Mall, London.
In a mansion in the heart of London. 11 rooms, 3 floors, one amazing experience. The Champagne Bar, Latin Quarter with DJs Peacekeeper and Mikumba. UK Unsigned Room with special guests Paul Dawkin and Audrey Scott performing an exclusive show. Entertainment in the Vault and the main ballroom by Mr. Marlon, PD Cooley, Philip Level, Mr. B, Eddie Nestor and Robbie G, Fats OHO and special guest PA by CC Foster. Hosted by Alison Manson and Martin Winter. For tickets and more information, visit the website mco-emporium.com or call the event line 07555 333 259.
Saturday, the 8th October, the Green Dress Ball.
We worldwide, baby.
With DJs from London, Birmingham, Wolverhampton, Coventry, Nottingham, Northampton, Wales, Essex, Bournemouth, Leeds, Manchester, and the USA. We are GY Radio.
There ain't no other station like this.
I've had some good days. I've had some hills to climb. I've had some weary days. And some lonely nights. But when I look around and I think things over, all of my good days outweigh my bad days, and I won't complain. Sometimes the clouds hang low, I can hardly see the road, and I asked a question, Lord, why so much pain? But He knows what's best for me. Although my weary eyes, they can't see, so I'll just say thank you, Lord. I'll sing thank you, Lord. I won't complain. God's been good to me. He's been good to me, more than this whole world can ever be. He's been good, so good to me. He dried all my tears away, turned my midnights into day. So I'll just say thank you, Lord. I'll just say thank you, Lord. I'll just say thank you, Lord. I won't complain. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. There's a miracle in this room with my name on it. There's a healing in this room, and it's here for me. Oh, there's a breakthrough in this room. It's got my name on it, so I'm gonna put a praise on it. I'm gonna put a praise on it. Somebody put a praise on it. There's a miracle in this room. We toss the name on it. You ought to put your name in the atmosphere. Come on. There's a healing in this room. And it's here for me. There's a breakthrough in this room. And it's got my name on it. So I'm gonna put a praise on it. Somebody put a praise on it. Can you help me put a praise on it? Somebody put a praise on it. Let's go. I dare somebody to release some praise in this room. I declare that wherever you are, miracles are breaking off in your house. You ought to declare there's a miracle in this room, and it's got my name on it. Let's go. There's a miracle in this room with my name on it. There's a healing. There's a healing in this room, and it's here for me. Say there's a breakthrough in this room. There's a breakthrough in this room with my name on it. Yeah. So what you gonna do? So I'm gonna put a praise on it. Come on. I'm gonna put a praise. I'm gonna put a praise on it. Y'all got it. There's a miracle in this room. There's a miracle in this room with my name on it. Say there's a healing in this room. There's a healing in this room, and it's here for me. There's a breakthrough. There's a breakthrough in this room with my name on it. Yeah. So what you gonna do? So I'm gonna put a praise on it. I'm gonna put a praise. I'm gonna put a praise on it. Say, so I'm gonna put a praise. So I'm gonna put a praise on it. Somebody ought to just move a little bit. Say, I'm gonna put a praise. I'm gonna put a praise on it. Say it again. So I'm gonna put a praise. So I'm gonna put a praise on it. Where my dancers at? I'm gonna put a praise. I'm gonna put a praise on it. Lift your hands way out there and say, gonna put a praise. So I'm gonna put a praise on it. I'm gonna put a praise. I'm gonna put a praise on it. Yeah. So I'm gonna put a praise. So I'm gonna put a praise on it. Where the praise is at? I'm gonna put a praise. I'm gonna put a praise on it. I need the dancers to break out. So I'm gonna put a praise. So I'm gonna put a praise on it. I'm gonna put a praise. I'm gonna put a praise on it. Look at your neighbor like this. So I'm gonna put a praise. So I'm gonna put a praise on it. I'm gonna put a praise. I'm gonna put a praise on it.
Yes. Jesus praise the Lord. Yes, God.
I'm trying to keep my faith.
We on a ultralight beam. We on a ultralight beam. This is a God dream. This is a God dream. This is everything. This is everything. Deliver us serenity. Deliver us peace. Deliver us love. And we know we need it. You know we need it. You know we need it. Now we need you now. Pray for Paris. Pray for the parents. This is a God dream. This is a God dream. This is a God dream. We on an ultralight beam. We on an ultralight beam. This is a God dream. This is a God dream. This is everything. Everything.
I'm trying to keep my faith, but I'm looking for more. Somewhere I can feel safe, and in my holy wall, I'm trying to keep my faith.
Why send oppression, not blessings? Why, oh, why'd you do me wrong? You persecute the weak because it makes you feel so strong. Don't have much strength to fight, so I look to the light to make these wrongs turn right. Head up high, I look to the light. Hey, cause I know that you'll make everything alright. And I know that you'll take good care of your child. Oh, no longer am afraid of the night, cause I look to the light.
They come for you. I will shield your name. I will field their questions. I will feel your pain. No one can judge. They don't know. Foot on the devil's neck till it drifted Pangea. I'm moving all my family from Chatham to Zambia. Treat the demons just like Pam. I mean, I f with your friends, but damn, Gina, I've been this way since Arthur was Anteater. Now they wanna hit me with the woo after bam. Trying to snap photos of family. My daughter look just like Sia, you can't see her. You can feel the lyrics, the spirit coming in braille. Tumbling of the underground, come and follow the trail. I made Sunday candy, I'm never going to hell. I met Kanye West, I'm never going to fail. He said let's do a good job with chance 3. I hear you gotta sell it to snatch the Grammy. Let's make it so free and the bar so hard that it ain't one gosh darn part you can't tweet. This is my part, nobody else speak. This is my part, nobody else speak. This little light of mine, glory be to God, yeah. I'ma make sure that they go where they can't go. If they don't wanna ride, I'ma still give them raincoats. Know what God said when he made the first rainbow? Just notice at the end if I'm too late for the intro. I'm just having fun with it. You know that it was lost. I laugh in my head cause I bet that my ex looking back like a pillar of salt. Cause they'll flip the script on your like Wesley and Spike. You cannot mess with the light. Look at the channel from 79. We on an ultralight beam. We on an ultralight beam. This is a God dream. This is a God dream. This is everything.
Yes, God. Hallelujah.
Everything.
I'm trying to keep my faith,
Yes, Jesus.
but I'm looking for more. Somewhere I can feel safe, and in my holy wall,
I dedicate this song to recession, depression, and unemployment. This song's for you.
Today's a new day, but there is no sunshine. Nothing but clouds and it's dark in my heart and it feels like a cold night. Today's a new day. But where are my blue skies? Where is the love and the joy that you promised me? Tell me it's alright.
I'll be honest with you.
I almost gave up, but a power that I can't explain fell from heaven like a shower now.
When I think how much better I'm gonna be when this is over,
I smile, even though I hurt, see I smile. I know God is working, so I smile. Even though I've been here for a while,
what you do?
I smile.
Come on,
smile. It's so hard to look up when you've been down. Sure would hate to see you give up now.
God's people.
You look so much better when you smile. So smile.
Now every day ain't gonna be perfect, but it still don't mean today don't have purpose. Come on.
Today's a new day, but there is no sunshine. Nothing but clouds and it's dark in my heart and it feels like a cold night.
It ain't easy, but
today's a new day.
Good evening, welcome to the show. This is your girl, Lady B, and we've got Alison also in the house. It's Ladies Night tonight, and we are streaming live on GY Radio. We've been listening to some music, and then we shall have our guests on with us later on. So do stay locked.
Good evening, everybody.
Hello, Alison.
Hello, my darling. Hello to everybody on Mixcloud. I hope you can stay tuned in for what will be an interesting discussion. We're talking about the rights of the transgender and really where women are going to be. What's happening to the word woman? What's happening to women, I could say. So it's going to be an interesting discussion because there's been many debates out there. We're just waiting for our guest, the lovely Toronto Carolyn, also MissyLaneyUs, and of course our DJ for this evening, the lovely Lady B.
Oh yes, so let's listen to some more music whilst we wait.
And we'll be right back.
Kirk Franklin on the beats right now. This one is I Smile.
And my people say,
You look so much better when you You look so much better when you You look so much better when you
I say,
You look so much better when you
and while you waiting,
You look so much better when you
and while you praying,
You look so much better when you
look in the mirror.
You look so much better when you
Always remember,
You look so much better when you smile.
Come on.
I almost gave up.
That I can't explain. But the Holy Ghost power, y'all,
fell from heaven,
came down from heaven. Hardships, difficulties,
right now.
tears, storms. This is what I do.
I smile. Even though I hurt, see I smile.
But that feels good.
I know God is working, so I smile.
All things are working.
Even though I've been here for a while,
still
I smile. Smile.
Hallelujah.
It's so hard to look up when you've been down.
I know it's hard right now.
Sure would hate to see you give up now.
Because you're a winner.
You look so much better when you smile.
You look better.
So smile.
Dallas.
You look so much better when you
New Orleans.
You look so much better when you
Come on. Cleveland.
You look so much better when you
Detroit.
You look so much better when you
Philly.
You look so much better when you
Jersey.
You look so much better when you
LA.
You look so much better when you
All my people say,
You look so much better when you smile.
see, I just don't want you to be happy, because then you gotta have something happen there. I want you to have joy.
Do we have everyone in the house?
I think we've got everyone in the house now. Let's have a look. We are going to present, we've already got the lovely Lady B who has been treating us to some lovely music before we actually start. And then who have we got? Who's this? This is Toronto Carolyn. Say hello so we can all hear you.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's
Good afternoon.
1:25 p.m. here, so midday for me.
I can see the sunshine still shining through the window. And who else do we have on the panel? It's Miscellaneous. Elaine, we should say, also known as Miscellaneous. Welcome to Ladies Night
Good
this
evening,
week.
and yes, good evening, everyone. Or
We're
good
having a little
afternoon to
trouble
wherever
hearing
you're
you. You
in.
sound a little bit low to us, Elaine.
Okay.
Have you got your headphones plugged in? Which is what you might have to do. And whilst Miscellaneous there just has some technical bits that she's dealing with, as I said, we've brought this panel along today. We are coming along once a month with the subject, hopefully, for everyone to engage in, not just on Mixcloud, but on YouTube as well. Please feel free to come and join in on any comments that you like. And good evening there, Joanne Bateson. Good evening. Good evening to you, Queen, also. And anyone else that's on Mixcloud. I can't see anyone else on at the moment, although Mixcloud gives me a lot of trouble. So anyway, so that's what we are talking about today is the transgender rights in today's society and the slow demise of the term women and what that means for us in today's society. And I thought it was quite a poignant subject to discuss because of what's happening out there and the way that people are talking about what defines or constitutes a man or a woman and the fact that they are vilified in the press subsequently. Quite recently, Macy Gray came out and spoke about to be a man is to have a penis, and she's had to backtrack quite recently. J.K. Rowling is the target of violence, aggression, and threats over her comments also. And so I just wanted us to get together to really think about what the term transgender means, perhaps even talk about some of the terms and share our feelings on what's going on and our feelings, most importantly, as a woman. I think I've done an introduction there. I'm going to hand over the baton. But before I do, I'm just going to explain what transgender, what the actual statement is on the internet. And it says transgender is an umbrella term for persons whose gender identity, gender expression, or behavior does not conform to that typically associated with the sex to which they were assigned at birth. Has anyone got anything to add on to that, or what they've been hearing in the media, or something that I've just mentioned just now?
Well, I'll start off because I also I sort of did a bit of research on this, and I wanted to, before actually going into the transgender thing, just to look at the historically when we talked about genders, what they actually meant. So I found some information where it says that there are four genders originally. No, we're not talking about the today's world. This is historical. So it talks about the masculine gender is used to denote a male subtype. Examples: king, boy, da 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 da. So this is just grammar. Okay. Feminine gender is used to denote the female subtype. And then we have the neuter gender, which is used to denote non-living and lifeless things. Okay. And then we've got the common gender, which denotes either male or female sex. Okay. So that's the historically is how I believe things have been classified. Human beings have been classified. But now it appears that there are 7 other genders. Okay. So we have what we call the agender person, who's a person that does not have a gender. The body of an agender person does not always correspond with their lack of gender identity. So it doesn't matter whether they're male or female, they can still classify themselves as agender because they don't want to identify as either or. And they are frequently unconcerned about their physical sex, but may strive to appear androgynous. Okay. And then and then it describes an androgen. An androgen is a person who identifies neither man or woman and or physically appears as neither. So that's what the androgen, how the androgen is described. The second gender, the type of gender of the 7, is what we call a cisgender. Now the cisgender, many people identify as cisgender. This means that you believe your biological sex or the one you were assigned at birth corresponds to your gender identity or how you perceive yourself. It is a common gender in society, but should not be assumed. Okay, so as a woman, I was born as a woman. That was the gender I was assigned at birth. So I would be considered cisgender. Okay, and then we have gender fluid. A gender fluid person does not identify as male or female, but rather as one or the other, depending on the day. So they can change from day to day. This refers to being flexible with one's gender expression, which is distinct from one's gender identity. So you could have been born a man or a woman, but you don't identify as such. You can flow from one to the next, depending on the day, apparently. Okay. So gender expression refers to a person's physical characteristics, behaviors, and appearance that are associated with masculinity or femininity. Individuals who are gender fluid may express one gender through clothing or interests one day and then identify as another the next. There are 7 of these here. I'm only getting to the 4th one. So I wonder if anyone has anything to say before I continue, because there's a lot to say.
Yeah, Elaine or Toronto, have you got anything to add on to that?
Well, I find this is to be a very interesting dynamic and really puts us in a precarious place sometimes, because now you just don't know. Whereas before, it was very clear cut. I am Carolyn, I am a woman, I am gender, a woman. And now it's so unclear. And I'll give you an example of something that I've noticed that's going on. A lot of my colleagues in the workplace have put in their pronouns on how they want to be identified. She, her, they, them. And so that is something that I have chosen not to do. That's my own personal preference. But I find it interesting that this is now becoming very commonplace that we put in our pronouns on how we want to be identified. So welcome to the new world order, perhaps?
I think my concern with it is the confusion.
Elaine, have you got anything to add?
Sorry, can you hear me okay?
You're a bit low.
I can hear you, but you are a bit low.
Am I a bit low?
Yeah.
I've turned up my mic as much as I can. Yeah, the thing that somewhat concerns me is the confusion that it's causing. Exactly what Caroline has just been explaining. Because at the moment we know, I'm a woman, you see me, I am a woman. I mean, most people, I will treat them how they present themselves to me. Because, it's not about trying to cause any form of offense. And so it's very simple at the moment. I look at us, we are 4 women. We're all identifying as women. And it's just this creation of having to have, like a separate identity. If we're, and the confusion that is then given for future generations. I mean, Alison, earlier on in preparation for this, you shared with us that little video. And included within that video was a child psychologist, effectively, a child doctor.
Yeah.
And that really concerned me, because she was effectively saying that children as young as 4, if they feel uncomfortable in their bodies, or you know, they may, if you're a boy, you may feel more comfortable in girls' clothes, which often people grow out of, or children tend to grow out of.
If I may, sorry, interrupt you there for a second, because I think your internet's going as well and you're fading in and out.
Oh,
But
am I?
to put that in a little bit of context, there was a video that was sent, and it was a guy that had gone around to a few places to talk about the meaning of men being able to change sex, and vice versa. And he went to some African tribe, first of all, and they laughed at the whole concept of that even being possible. And then he went to see like a clinical psychotherapist, doctor, or whatever, who's a specialist in treating people with gender dysmorphia, which is when you can't identify with the sex that you have. And he was asking questions, and she revealed that she treats children as young as 4. And that's what disturbs you, myself also, because I just think, you know, when you're 4 years old, you don't really know who you are. You know, we've all experimented with our brothers and sisters, cousins. I don't care what anyone's got to say, nothing drastic, but, you know, you've experimented. Then you've gone out in the big wide world and you may kiss a girl, but that doesn't mean you're a lesbian. That just means that you're experimenting and finding out who you are. And I believe in that freedom of expression. I believe in the fact that you should be able to explore that. But to try and treat it at 4 years old is not right. They haven't even gone through puberty. They are still a child. And children are sponges. Children soak up anything. So if you feed them enough, they are going to believe it. And if you're going to feed them the fact, oh, okay, so you don't identify with that, no problem. Let's just kind of coerce you into that sex you believe you are. And one example, before I let somebody else speak, is if you look at, there's 2 examples from one extreme to the other. Madonna and her son, David Bandana, who's now gay. And you know what environment he's been brought up in. I doubt if very many straight people have been around him. And then you've got Angelina Jolie, who had a child, Shiloh, who was identifying as a boy for many years and was very androgynous and was in the papers. And everyone always commented on the fact that, I don't know what her name was, John. She wanted to be called John, and she had her haircut. And all of a sudden, she's come out and she's a girl again. She's wearing dresses and shoes and got her hair done and wearing makeup. And that just shows you just nature, just natural nature, and puberty taking its course. And as a last word, which I think Elaine's going to establish on, is when they use puberty blockers at the ages of teenagers, when they use medication to block puberty.
Ooh. Are we having internet problems tonight?
Yeah, can you still hear me, both of you?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
I can.
Yes. So I saw the video that HPQ was talking about, and they were using puberty blockers. And these puberty blockers, it was raised because there was the gentleman who was talking to this specialist doctor, and asked about the puberty blockers, which are used for children as young as 4 years old. And these puberty blockers are used in the castration of sex offenders, like medical castration of sex offenders. And this is the sort of stuff that is given to young children as young as the age of 4 years old. And so, I actually saw that video. I thought it was extremely disturbing, to be quite fair.
Yeah.
That children as young as 4, they don't know their right from their left. So how can they understand what it means to be a girl or a boy at such a young age? It's just not, it doesn't compute to me.
Yes, and I want to jump in. And exactly, as parents, what do we do as parents to be aware that children at that age, they don't have the capacity to make those kinds of decisions. And it's up to us as the parents just to maybe just go with the flow. But to me, to move forward when a child is 4 or 5 or that very young age, to then think about medication like a puberty blocker, in my opinion, that's ludicrous. It's absolutely ludicrous. The child is too young to be engaging in that kind of behavior and cannot engage in that behavior without the participation of your parents.
Indeed, indeed.
Exactly.
So again, it's about what are the parents saying? What sort of pressure is, the parents putting on this child? Or what is the misunderstanding between the parent and the child? That you've taken them to a child psychologist and you're purporting to have body dysmorphia, from such a young age. That's concerning. That's very concerning. But then getting back to the issue of women, because the largest shout, it seems, in this transgender argument is for men who are wanting to have female rights, like the male who is identifying as female. And I can't but help notice that once again, it's the male race that is determining something that's female. I mean, has that struck any of you?
Well, I think it speaks to the power of patriarchy, right? And
Absolutely.
even if the man now wants to identify as a woman, he still has the power within the system of being a man to define that. And again, this to me, it's problematic. And I give the example of this, when we're going through menstruation and women are suffering from all of the discomfort, like severe discomfort of what's going on, and we've been told, suck it up, we go to work, we drag ourselves in. I have often said, if men actually had periods, there would be period days. They would be given paid days where they could take off because they would be able to push that agenda through as the architects of policies and things like that. But for women, we're biological women who identify as women, we don't have those powers because we're not in those positions of power to do so. So now we have this coming up, transgendered men saying they should be given rights of women. They still have the community of power of men to make it happen.
Yeah.
Exactly right. And I feel sometimes I really feel as though, women have come a long way in society today. And it's as though a woman's right to be a woman is being eroded all of a sudden and receded. Because the reality is, and look, I don't frown on anybody's choice of gender. In my mind, if you're old enough to make that decision and you feel that way, there's nothing wrong with that. I know people who are born with both male and female genitalia. They have to choose which one they want to be. So I have no problem whatsoever with people transitioning, and if they feel they were a man born in a woman's body or vice versa, that's fine. Okay. However, why disrupt the status quo just to accommodate yourself? It is only recently that we've had, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, I saw in the news that the, I can't remember whether it's the International Swimming Federation, where banned trans women from competing in female swimming competitions, international swimming competitions, because they have testosterone, they're stronger. They've got stronger upper body strength. You can't dispute that. Biologically, you cannot dispute that. You can't discount that. It doesn't matter how many puberty blockers or beta blockers or whatever blockers people are given, your hormonal makeup is still very much that.
Yeah, but nowadays, Lady B, in terms of the hormones, you can get, treatments, because when you choose to change, to go through the process of changing permanently, they treat you with hormones, don't they? If you're a male, they treat you with female hormones so that your body can produce, and imitate effectively the female body. And I absolutely agree with everything that you've said, because however somebody chooses to identify themselves, that's how we should greet them. However, I don't think that all of the gains that we have made as women over the years, over the centuries, going right the way back to the suffragette women, all of the gains that we have shouldn't be lost at the behest of sort of bringing in the transgender, bringing in transgenders. There needs to be a way in which the male is still the male, the woman is still the woman, and then we have transgender men and women. Yeah, I have no objection to them. My objection is to trying to derail what being a woman is, and the rights that we have fought for over the years as women.
And let's be very clear about women's rights, because when we speak about that, we're speaking about that from the lens of being North American and from the lens of European, but a large number of women all over the world still can't drive cars, never mind.
Yeah.
Right, so there are many women all over the world who are just fighting to even get education, to drive a car, basic things that we just take for granted. And now we have this element added around being transgendered. MissyLaneyUs, I totally agree with you. If this is what you want to be and this is how you want to identify, that's all great, but there has to be a distinction made. So it's very clear. It's very, very clear. And the other piece that I find a bit disconcerting is this agenda being pushed to young children in our education system.
Yes.
Yeah. Ladies, I am here, by the way. I'm having trouble with my camera. My internet just went flat out and it's giving me a lot of problems. So I've decided to come off camera whilst I try and work in the background how to solve that. But I've been listening to your comments. I just want to talk about a couple of comments that have come in from YouTube from Joanne Bateson. And she said, yes, indeed, it's possible that the parents wasn't happy, meaning the same hope it's a boy or girl and the result is not granted. And maybe when the child is at an age, parents may drum it into them. Hence, we know children watch and are taught by their parents. So growing up slowly, that's why they may act and want it to be the opposite sex. And just saying to that, and I know that Lady B spoke about the different types of genders, but we also, did you speak about hermaphrodites, people that have the same sex and needing to work out what sex they are as they're coming of age? And that's a whole different subject. But also in that video, I think the lady turned around and said now what they're trying to drum into us is that we can't take it for granted that our identity is assumed. Okay, we can't take into account what identity we are assigned at birth. We're just assigned that identity, but what identity we relate to is a totally different matter, and that's what's now coming into question. Is forget what identity you are. You can be whatever you want. You can self-identify, and then no one's not going to say anything. And it does have repercussions for women. In terms of, now men are allowed in women's changing rooms, or they're becoming fluid where everyone can just walk in and out. There's that element of safety also. There's so many levels and layers to this. It's not just as simple as stripping out women or stripping out identifying, because if that's the case, why can't we just say, I'm going to self-identify as a UK citizen, stuff doing all the paperwork. This is what
exactly.
I do. And this is what I'm going to do.
I just think that I wish that they would pay this much attention when they're describing people's ethnicity?
Indeed.
Why do we need to describe our ethnicity? Why can't we just be people?
Yeah.
You know,
it's this whole thing about categorization and labeling.
Mhm.
If I feel that if we're coming from the point of let everybody be who they want to be, and we relate to people how they present themselves to us, I don't see that we have to have all of this discussion about, you know, diluting what is a woman.
Sorry, I didn't
Yeah,
mean to
go.
interrupt, but just really, really quickly, I did a talk on race and the identity of race, and there was quite an interesting part in there. And because I've interrupted you now, I've just kind of lost my whole train of thought there in what I was going to say. But carry on, carry on. I'm going to come back to this. Sorry, it's my fault for interrupting you.
No, that's okay. That's okay. But so yeah, so I think a lot of it does come down to how, you know, we relate to each other. But then moving it on to some of the impacts that we see maybe on a day-to-day basis is the use of inclusive language. Okay, so let's take, I don't know, tampons. Yeah, that's something that is 100% related to women. It's only ever going to be sold to women. However, campaigns have chosen to use words like menstruators rather than using the word woman, for not wanting to offend
People who menstruate.
people who identify as women.
Can I just say that using the word menstruator is probably more offensive because they can't menstruate.
Well, that's what I mean. This is why I don't understand why they're taking out the word woman, because it's not possible, even if you had all the operations, for you to menstruate. So it's not people who menstruate, only women menstruate.
And then the other one that I came across was it was a campaign for cervical smears, yeah, just to have your annual test. And instead of using the word women, they used the phrase everyone with a cervix.
Oh man,
I know. I read that.
Yeah, and you know, so for me, this is where you know, I get the concern. So it's almost as though the phrase woman now has become a phrase that is no longer acceptable for things relating to the female body.
So is the phrase men being eroded as well?
Not at all.
Oh no, just women.
Oh, good gracious me, no. So when I was referring earlier on about us, you know, women losing their rights, these are the type of things that I'm talking about, because this is just a straightforward identification of women-related matters, female-related matters, and there is hesitancy amongst advertisers to use the word woman.
And when you speak about that, I can't remember the term, but I also read something about related to how they defined giving birth. So we, again, no longer women giving birth, but I can't remember the phrase. And I just started thinking, like, this is going from the sublime to the ridiculous at this point. And
yeah.
Blurring the lines of something that to me should be quite clear cut. We are women. We have the ability to reproduce. We are needed in the world to continue population, future generations to come. And so that alone gives us one of the most important roles ever. I don't understand. I'm trying to get my head wrapped around it. And I just want to say something very quickly. It's really interesting when you watch how the agenda has been moved forward very quickly, government policies, information being done in schools, all of these things. But what's interesting is that when we look at the issue of race and Black people and our issues, look how long we've been banging on the door. there's a problem here. And yet it just seems to be very incremental as we fight for basic rights as Black people.
But then
And yet, here comes this new issue, this new focus, this new lens. And I'm shocked to see how quickly policies, government policies, like I said, the influence in advertising language, the influence that it's being taught to children in school has just been moved so quickly into public sphere of normalcy.
Yeah.
If I just may say for a second, we've just had some interesting conversation in the YouTube.
In the chat, yeah.
Yeah. So Dr. Cheryl Diane Parkinson, she was on my show once, what a wonderful lady she is. She said she thinks it's interesting that we try to categorize gender into either male or female. In many aspects of the human being, there is a spectrum. I don't believe gender issues have suddenly started. And sorry, she says, I believe it's something that we are now talking about. And it reminds me of being on the autistic spectrum. There's a spectrum, much like a rainbow from one side to the other. Individuals are somewhere on this rainbow, and we could argue that it's similar with gender. And I think the point I was trying to get to before, when I was looking at, they wanted to create, it's almost like a social construction, so that they can categorize people and either apply certain techniques to those level of people, a bit like the caste system in India. But I don't know whether this transgenderism is a part of social construction or not, or is it a part of just being on a natural human spectrum, and we are just discovering there's so many facets to being a human being, let alone being an assigned gender. Or is it a product of our millennials suddenly just deciding that there's the internet out there and we can read so much more and they're exploring more? I don't know. It's really, really hard difficult for me to.
Yes, I believe, as much as we, the first time I came across a hermaphrodite, I mean, I was shocked initially, but it's made me sort of understand more people who feel they are born in the wrong body and things like that. If a hermaphrodite is a physical manifestation, they've got male and female genitalia, the chances are they will grow breasts when they get to a certain age, and they have to decide when they get to a certain point of their lives whether they want to identify as a male or a female. So that gave me an insight into, the whole transgender situation. And I really do not have any issue with that. What I take issue with is you can't then muscle everything that's to do with a woman, of people who have identified as women, who have been assigned and accepted their gender as female. You can't just erode that and say because it's offending somebody else. So what offense should we? So should we not be taking offense? I'm actually taking big offense, to be honest.
Let's not doubt that one. Let's not doubt that one. But because the offense is real. I think, Alison, I really think it's a combination of all of the three elements that you've said. Because we've had historically, you can always think of somebody maybe in the neighborhood who dressed differently, didn't dress in line with their sex. And I do think there is a big push now. The millennials, they don't ask permission anymore. Yeah,
no.
They're the generation that say, look, this is who I am. This is, and you better live with it. And I agree with what Dr. Cheryl has said. Looking at gender now on a spectrum, if you think about it, there have been over the years, you can identify a more vocal trend. There's been more of them as the population has grown. Their percentage has got bigger. Yeah. Then you've got the millennials. They've now got that voice that says we're not putting up with this. But I do think that the answer is something like what we touched on earlier on, that we still have the man, the woman, and we have another definition alongside it. And then we build a society whereby the man, the woman, and others, and by using others, I do not want to cause any offence to anyone, but we then build a society that accommodates that, rather than trying to take away the long, hard-fought rights that women have done over the years.
A question I want to ask, I'm just going to think that if I'm thinking about the rates of transgenderism, if you want to put a label on it or so, I'm making this up, and the rate of people changing over gender, we're going to create a world where we're going to eradicate women. And I think what they're doing is not recognizing the importance of women in the reproduction cycle, because without a woman, you can't really create a child, or they can with eggs and male sperm, and they can house it somewhere. But without a woman, without getting those eggs and without getting those sperm, it's going to be quite difficult for them to recreate. And that's what I need to work out, whether a woman that's turned into a man, are their ovaries gone? Does that mean they have no ovaries, so they can't be done? Or do they harvest their eggs in the future to have children? Is that going to be a result of the medication they're taking? And why do we want a population whereby we can't reproduce naturally?
I don't think we will ever become a world population that can't reproduce. I don't see that as the final outcome here, and indeed, to think about that, that's quite dread. You know, that effectively human beings are we no longer copulate to make the next generation, that we actually do this in a biological lab somewhere, and it's grown in a lab and something, you know, that the thought of that is quite horrifying.
But those days are coming.
I was going to say, when you think about how we have evolved as a nation from living in caves, and now if you want to change any feature on your face or your body, you can. If you want muscle definition, you can get muscle definition, new nose, new breasts, new toes, more new hair, anything you want. So it's natural that all of this is just going to evolve. I mean, you got even just people that put things into their face to make them more like animals, or
yeah, I think Alison's gone off.
Yeah.
Like cats, you know, and the things that we will get.
Alison, you're dipping in and out.
Yeah, my internet is really playing up this evening.
It's
I
not
have
liking
no
you
idea.
this evening, is it?
No, it crashed out on me, and then it went. What I may do is ask that. I'll tell you what. How about you play a couple of tracks, Lady B? We'll take a break.
Yes,
I'm gonna
we'll take a
reset
break.
everything and see if I can come back in. We'll come back in around about 7:15 with some more chat, and we will end the show probably a little bit earlier on, because there's a show afterwards to myself and DJ Juicy where we have to lead them in straight onto the stream. So it's going to be an early shutdown for a second, but please join GY Radio Stream for the interview with PJ Murray. Lady B, I'll take it over to you whilst I sort out my issues. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you, Alison.
Thank you.
Okay, so thanks for all those who are in the Mixcloud group chat and those who are listening on YouTube. We are going to be listening to some music. I'm starting off as I had started earlier, and I stopped it just as it was about to start. It's Mali music, and this one is Conqueror.
For sure, but still that gives us no excuse. So when the enemy is fighting you, just tell him to prepare to lose. 'Cause I'm more than a conqueror. 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 Because of God's covenant with me, I always have the victory. No matter what you take from me, God still gets glory from me. The King them suffering violence, and the violent take it by force. So today we make a stand, 'cause we're not taking it no more. More than a conqueror, more than a conqueror, more than a conqueror. I am more, yeah, more than a conqueror, and I refuse to lose. More than a conqueror, and you have victory. More than a conqueror. And I hope you hear me say that. More than a conqueror, yeah. More than a conqueror, more than a conqueror. I expect victory every time. Hallelujah. And I thank you, Father. More than a conqueror. Lift your voice and say, I won't be defeated. In the spirit of lack, depression, failure, hurt, pain, malice, hate has to return back, hallelujah, down to the pit of hell from whence it came, because we are more than, we are more than yes, you're more than conqueror. We are more than conquerors. Oh, we are more than conquerors. Today we are more, conquerors. Did he save you before? Well, he'll do it again. This is the confidence that we have.
Yes, we are listening to Mali music. This one is Conqueror. We've got Agent Sasko coming up with Winning Right Now.
Same God who raised you is the same God who's there today. He's the same today, yesterday, and forevermore. And I don't believe that he's brought us this far to leave us all alone. No, 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 no.
I'm a winner, you know that I'm a winner. I want you to know I'm on the sun. Oh, we're winning right now, you live. I say we're winning right now. Me forget that trophy to what me living right now. Cause I'm winning right now, yeah. And I'm chilling right now. Oh, we're winning right now. On Thanksgiving right now, cause we're winning right now, yeah. I'm winning, I'm winning, I'm winning. Hey, watch out now, cause I'm a walking W. Learn from the L's, turn them in a medal in a trophy and bells. Every day you see we with the fan on next level. Break records like we cracking eggshells. And every single ounce of effort we expel. It's all about progress, cause we have to excel. I watch out, looking like success, we dress well. Boom, another knockout for the ring the next bell. I'm about to send my haters a card to get well, cause I'm sick of it. Yeah, I'm so sick of it. But that's the whole gist of it. I hate it on the beauty when winning now we have it. Cause I'm winning, I'm winning. I'm winning. Oh, we're winning right now, you know. I say we're winning right now. Me forget that trophy to what me living right now. Cause I'm winning right now, yeah. And I'm chilling right now. Oh, we're winning right now. Our Thanksgiving right now, yeah. I say we're winning right now. So every day you see me, we are the reigning champ. And at the cloud with the silver line we reigning from. Cause if you see some of the places where we hailing from, it's just the type of place we should be failing from. But now we're winning. Yes, every quarter, every inning. Bolt if I tracks and then I fence if I swimming. You know that there's no giving in, no matter the circumstances we're living in. You hear me? I'm winning. I'm winning. I'm winning. Oh, we're winning right now, you know. I say we're winning right now. Me forget that trophy to what me living right now. Cause I'm winning right now, yeah. And I'm chilling right now. Oh, we're winning right now. Our Thanksgiving right now, God. I said we're winning right now.
Gratitude is fuel for the actions I partake in. So in doing what I love, I get to keep it up. Perceptions leave much room to be mistaken. So in doing what I say, my word is covenant. I expect nothing but the best from myself. Not myself nor me. Putting personality under subordination of the master key, which is the most high in I and I. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Whatever you're dwelling on is the reality that you're creating. Use your concentration wisely, because your only limitation is your imagination. Priority one is to focus on the most high in the meditation. Develop the routine, keep the room clean, balance the physical and spiritual accommodation. See daily from the written word, learn from the example, then put it into practical use within your temple. The real work is to know, the truth is the seed, the real life is to grow into what you need. So as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Whatever you're dwelling on is the reality that you're creating. Use your concentration wisely, because your only limitation is your imagination. Trapped inside the flesh, requiring emancipation from the source of the vexation, which is the enemy. Anyhow, you let the mind control, corrupt your state of meditation. You compromise your soul, focus off the goal, and move further from the free. Where you want to be, shaping your destiny, guided by the most high. No need for competition, when creative cultivation of the nation is the mission. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Whatever you're dwelling on is the reality that you're creating. Use your concentration wisely, because your only limitation is your imagination. Because your only limitation is your imagination. Because your only limitation is your imagination. Trapped inside the flesh, requiring enemy. Anyhow, you let the mind control corrupt your state of meditation. You compromise your soul. Just focus up the goal and move further from the free. Where you want to be, shaping your destiny. Guided by the Most High, no need for competition. When creative cultivation of the nation is the mission. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Whatever you're dwelling on is the reality that you're creating. Use your concentration wisely, because your only limitation is your imagination. In his heart, so is he. Whatever you're dwelling on is the reality that you're creating. Use your concentration wisely, because your only limitation is your imagination.
Oh, yes. So that was Jar 9 with Gratitude. I love her music. Her music is very, very inspirational. I'm just checking to see if our ladies are back. I can see Carolyn. I can't see Alison or Elaine at the moment. I might play one more song and to give them a little bit more time. So this next one coming up is from Lucky Dubé. This one is Together as One. Okay, so it looks like we're all back.
I think I'm back. I had to reset everything, including my router, and do a bit of a master reset. Tell my son to come off gaming, and and now I'm back. So thank you very much for playing some music there just before. We'll just wait for Toronto Carolyn, and there's MissyLaneyUs trying to come back in also. What did I miss? Did I miss anything? I wanted to just say in Mixcloud. Gosh, if it will play now. It's just cleared my chat. See, this is what's happening to me this evening. Nothing wants to play ball. I've gone just and logged back into Mixcloud to get what Juicy had written, and it's all cleared. So, Juicy, if you are listening and you want to write back in your comment there, I will come and read that out. So, thank you very much.
I can read it out. I've got it here.
Oh, you go ahead. Thank you.
Yes. So, DJ Juicy says, possibly that they are planning to evolve the reproductive organs with men, hence terminologies being changed quietly.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. There's something going on in the world. I think there's and as you said, there's been a great push for transgender to be put onto the forefront of policies and in schooling. And it's about what they're teaching at a very young age. And they're not teaching them about things that are out there like racism. That's been out there for years, and yet we're still not getting that covered. Even just being a woman, let alone being a black woman, we're still having a pay divide and all these other battles that we're fighting. And it just seems to me so wrong to push this at the top of the agenda. Yes, I get that people believe that they are born into the wrong sex. I completely understand that. I really, really do. I don't want to take that away from anybody who's transgender and feel your pain, because I don't understand how someone would go through years of injections and having bodily parts cut away if they truly didn't believe what they were. So, I applaud people for taking those brave steps and going through the amount of operations and hormone injections and the changes to their body to become comfortable. And, a lot of these people have committed suicide
Yeah.
or gone through so much severe depression at not being able to identify who they truly are. So, kudos to it happening. The rate at how it's happening and the changes that are being implemented, although, are what I'm questioning. And what's on the table today, it's now moved from one extreme to the other, where it's not talked about to let's just remove identity itself and let's just all self-identify and call ourselves what we want. And it's a mixed playground. And now when you go to an application form, there's Mr., Miss, Mix, MI, MC, and what it is, SK, and all those boxes that you just don't know which to tick now. It's just another education that we're having to teach ourselves in this ever-evolving society. It's hard. We've got to teach our children. Our children probably know more than we do.
Yeah, our children know more than... Carry
Go
on.
ahead.
Our children know more than we do, but I have to say, whereas, there are some children are given the opportunity to just run with whatever it is they're feeling or thinking, there are many children who are quite the opposite and are more, I don't know what word to use, they're more cautious in how they tread. Because, I'm pretty sure last year or 2 years ago, there was somebody who was born as a male who transitioned very early on into a woman and ended up blaming the medical experts because he felt that he wasn't really given any support during the time he was transitioning to understand the ramifications of what he was doing.
Interesting.
And couldn't live successfully. He found, when people go through these changes, it's not seamless at all. You're changing your hormones. There's a tendency for you to suffer depression.
Yeah.
There's so many things.
And I would say is that you're not prepared for living in the dynamics of being a woman in a woman's world and the issues that you face as a woman, especially if you're a man and now you've changed into a woman. I'm sure there's a stark disparity between the privilege of being a man versus when you become a woman that is very apparent, because as a man you just you walk through the world, you're a man,
but actually, I think for them, are we forgetting the element that actually for them, because even though they are born as a male and all of society and everybody is treating them as a male, internally they are not feeling. So that empowerment that you're expressing, that men experience by just being the male race, actually, if I understand this right, somebody who internally feels like a woman would not necessarily be able to take advantage of the status of being a male, because they are completely uncomfortable in that environment. Have I because it's an
yeah, but sometimes
identity,
that privilege is unspoken just by virtue of being a man. It's unspoken.
Yes, but they may not I understand that it's unspoken, but also because they're in conflict, they would more want to side with the woman in that scenario, whatever it is, because it's based on how they're feeling internally, isn't it?
It is.
I feel a little bit like we've been cheated because, as a woman assigned at birth, We have to go through the issues of that and going through menstruation and periods and all the other aspects of being a woman and creating these ovaries and these eggs to be able to reproduce. And now you've got people that can change into a woman. That whole stage is skipped out. You know, now they are a woman and they can have all the things that attribute to being a woman, you know, wearing a bra, wearing high heel shoes, having makeup. But the whole mechanics of what we go through, what it is, our reproductive cycle, that very belly of us is not there in other people. And it feels like they can just come along and feel like they just want to grab a slice of that pie, I'm a woman, and hasn't gone through that whole transition.
And not to talk about the menopause that you go through as a woman, which is...
I agree with all of that. And what you are absolutely saying is everything that makes up the female of the species, yeah? Because that's what it means to be a female, yeah? Biological female, yeah? But if I'm understanding this, you know, how they are thinking and how they are feeling, yes, I would be aggrieved because they do not go through the pain, some of the, you know, the pain of being a woman. But they're actually also then, aren't they also then experiencing a different type of pain?
Yes, they are experiencing a different type of pain.
But
and let me tell you, I actually empathize. I have a lot of empathy, you know, when people have to go through these changes, because as you say, it's not just physical pain for them, there's a lot of mental pain as well. What I take umbrage with, or two, is don't try and erode who I am as a woman just so you can feel comfortable. That is my whole point of this conversation, that I'm in this conversation, is there's room for everybody. There's no crabs in a barrel mentality. Okay, you want to be a woman? Great. I know what it means. I know what it means to me to be a woman, and you can't take that away from me, you know. And by God, right? If I start hearing things about it's against the law to use the word woman, then they better come and be arresting me. Right?
They'll be accused.
Seriously.
I mean, as I said before, you know, only a woman can give birth to a child, and I'm talking about physically giving birth to a child, not anybody else that's turned into a woman. And I kind of need kind of all parties to understand this. And you know, I feel so strongly about this title just taken away from us. The things that we have fought for, I'm wordless at the moment, speechless.
I mean, it's interesting that we've spent a lot of time talking about the male that is transforming into the female, because, you know, that's impacting us as the, you know, the word woman and the woman identity. And earlier on, we was also speaking about the future, and just before the break, you know, we partially painted this idea that, you know, in the future, the generations wouldn't, well, how would the future generations be created? Because quite rightly, Alison is only a woman that has the equipment to be able to carry a baby. And even Juicy, I think, in her comment about maybe they are secretly moving the female to the male in order for the male to give birth. And actually what struck me there was, well, actually, if you're a woman who then chooses to identify as a male, you're a male who is able to have a baby.
That is very correct. So it's already happening.
Do you see? Yeah.
Oh dear.
Because they will still, even if they live the majority of their life as a male, or they identify as a male, I understand that maybe they could stop taking the drugs that, you know, like the hormone drugs that are therefore suppressing the female side of them, that if they then wanted to you know, to carry a baby or something, they would still be able to do so. That is really concerning. So I do think that we would still have, you know, the male-female cohabitation and coupling in order to be able to make babies, but it's going to be the definition of what that male and female is. You know, at the moment we say man and woman, and indeed, if you have a lesbian couple, traditionally that would be two women. However, if one of those women is a transgender, Are they still a lesbian couple?
There's just too much to think about and too much to get your head around. Like, and to be frank, I don't really want to know. You know, to each their own. Everyone has a right to live as they want to live. All I know is, don't come and erode my status just to make yourself comfortable. That's my main issue here. The two things. Don't start teaching children what they should and shouldn't be. Let them grow up and decide what they want to be. Secondly, don't erode my status as a woman, right? This is what I know. This is what has been. You can't take that away from me. You know.
Go and get your own rights. It almost sounds like you're saying.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
go
It's
and
like,
get your
well,
own
it's like I worked in very briefly for 6 months in an office building where they had sort of mixed toilets. I mean, I went in there once and vowed never to do it again.
Yeah.
Because feminine hygiene is so different from male hygiene.
But you know what? Women can be just as bad in the toilets, you know.
Oh.
You know.
Yes.
Women, I've been in
yes.
women's toilets and they're disgusting most of the time, and women end up going into the male toilets because they're cleaner.
I agree with you, but on this occasion we did have women's toilets, and then they had mixed toilets, and I happened to go to a mixed toilet because the women's toilet was full, like there were too many people, and I didn't want to queue, and I just happened. I just thought, why do we need to mix? And when I'm in the loo, I don't want someone who was born as a man walking in there and saying, because now I'm a woman. How does that work?
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing is
sorry.
a lot of...
Go ahead.
I was just going to add on to what Lady B was saying, in that a lot of, in the education arena, a lot of the new builds, and when they're doing redecs now, a lot of those toilets are being changed to unisex toilets.
Unisex.
Yeah. They're moving away from that male, female. It's unisex, and I think disabled it seems to now be the common thing.
Well, I'm sorry, on a point of levity, I used to watch a show called Ally McBeal. And,
yes, I watched that.
They had the unisex toilet in their office, so, you know, they were planting the seed.
We should have had a clip of that for the show, you know.
We should have done. But just to come to some of the questions that are posed on YouTube and on Mixcloud, Joanne Bates again said, do you think it's right that male that chose to be a woman, should they have a right to give birth, seeing that taking hormones? It's wrong in my opinion. Sharky's question is, what is a woman or female scientifically? They can never change that.
True.
And DJ Juicy put, being in the beauty business, I have been part of the male to female transition. Married men having to sneak out for the day, travel to another city, book makeup appointments, and go out as women for the day. I treat each equally and never judge, as I don't know their life journey. However, their wives are none the wiser. That's so true. I mean, but I mean, that was the point before, though, is that there was no honesty there because they felt like they couldn't come out. And people like Philip Schofield has come out. He was a married man. Who was the other comedian who someone died in their pool? Barry
Barrymore. Barrymore was his last name. I can't remember the first name.
He was married also and come out. Elton John was another one. So there's lots of men that, you know, are married and come out and were afraid to, or probably had mixed feelings and wasn't quite sure. And again, you know, we understand those journeys. And Juicy, we don't want to take anything away from anyone's journey. I think we all understand those respective journeys that people get on. And I definitely emphasize the fact that it takes a lot for people to want to change their entire bodies and inject themselves with so much substances. So I just want to kind of make that clear. I think the conversation is really about us as women and how we feel, because I think that's not being taken into context too much. I think everything is on the transgender side and how they feel. But what about our side? They're being stripped out. And are these conversations being having with women, or are they being had with, I think it's Stonewall, which is that major organization which seems to be advising the government. So, you know, those are my issues. Where are my rights as a woman? what do I choose to be called, or where do I choose to be in all of this? And I just feel like, I don't have those rights. And so that's what my question posed today, and everything around that also in terms of what's going on now. Now,
Right.
children at school have been encouraged to be wearing dresses, it's like boys as well. So
Yes,
I
because
don't
I
know where
think
it stops.
there was a news article a couple of years back, last year I think it was, or before,
One
that the little
recently.
boy was.
There's one recently.
Oh, was there one recently?
Yeah.
Yeah, the little boy was wearing the girls' uniform to school.
Mm.
And the parents wrote to the head teacher and said that this is very confusing, because their children were coming home and saying, well, how comes Tom can wear a dress? It's confusing.
I know.
Very confusing.
And I also wanted to say that we have to be mindful that we don't eradicate what it means to be a woman, and no judgment to anybody and their life journey and all of the angst that they may go through, because I'm sure it's a very long and hard decision, and then to move forward on that decision to decide to do change your gender. I have great empathy, as we've all said in this conversation, but again, to House Party Queen's point, we are women, we identify as women, we honor ourselves as women, and so our voices still need to be heard amongst the other voices that are screaming very loudly for their rights, but we also need to have our voices heard and acknowledged and respected as well.
Absolutely.
That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line.
Absolutely. I think both
I was
you
just
and
going
Lady
to.
B. I was going to say, I think both you and Lady B summed it up really nicely. Lady B is saying, do what you want, but don't take away my rights. Yeah. And yes, we should be able to identify happily, wholesomely, as women on a day-to-day basis. And I just think that they just need to create something for themselves. Just don't rob from us. Go do your thing.
I think so. I think so.
Amazingly enough, there is a transgender woman. He actually refers to himself as a male, quite frankly, but he's a woman. He looks like a woman. He's got breasts. I'm going to say they are called Flame Monroe. When you get a minute, go on YouTube and look for Flame. I absolutely love this person to bits. And he came up and he said straight off the bat, if you were born a man, doesn't matter what you do, you're still a man. Now, I personally do not force that on, I don't force my own definition of you on you. But when it came out of his mouth and he said that, I thought, well, so that means as a woman, somebody who's born female, we have a womb, we grew up to have breasts, we have menstrual cycles, and that's the end of that. We don't have to wear a skirt, It's not about what we're wearing, okay? It's about what we are biologically, period.
And we can't forget that we have menopause, which is very much a very real in our transition.
Wouldn't it be great?
The menopause is real. The menopause is real.
It'd be great if we could hand that one over to them. Like here, have
That's what I
this.
said. I said,
go through
periods
this.
and menopause, they haven't gone through that and they skip through that and become a woman, and it's just unfair. But in saying all of that, ladies, I'm going to wrap up kind of like a little bit on time today, because as I said, we've got a show that's jumping straight onto the stream, so we just need to do a little bit of background technical stuff, so we're going to have to come off the stream slightly early. I thank you. I'm going to let us play out with Lady B up until about 1:45 before we end the stream. I just want to say thank you very much, as per usual, for joining this. It's a great forum. I love talking to you ladies. Everything flows so smoothly. Normally, I have to prepare for shows and have lots of text and all sorts of things, but with you guys, I'm able to just flow and talk and blend in and forgive the interruption sometimes, MissyLaneyUs. I paid for that in the way of all the technical problems I had afterwards. That's a lesson learned. But thank you again for joining. I'll let you say your last words before we sound out.
Well, yeah, I'll go first. It's always a pleasure being. I look forward to these once a month Thursday evenings with you ladies. It's always good conversation. And for me, the thing I'm really gonna go away with is that, you know, the phrase woman should be defined and accepted as it has always been, doing what, you know, us as being women. And secondly, go get your own set of rights. Yeah, just do not take away. No, seriously, that's the big thing that I'm going away with tonight. Because yeah, they need their own set of rights. You know, we need something for them. Just leave us women.
Thank you very
leave us
much.
women be.
Yeah, leave us alone, as they say.
Please.
To Carolyn.
So.
Oh, sorry. Did it? You see
No,
me cutting you again?
you
My
all.
computer's going to crash now because of that.
I was just going to bless you all for the week. And yeah, you know, tune into my show on Sunday afternoon on uniquevibes.com between 12 and 2. And it would be great if you could join me. So have yourselves a blessed week. Until the next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Carolyn.
Always a delight to be a part of this forum. Amazing queens. I appreciate you. I thank you for inviting me to be a part of this. It's a pleasure. And I guess all I have to say is that women, we are here on the shoulders of our ancestors, women who came before us, and I'll leave it at that.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much, Carolyn. And so, thank you, ladies. I'm going to, if you wave goodbye, I'm going to take you ladies out of the stream. Thank you. I don't know where to do it. Everything's playing up to. See, I told you, MissyLaneyUs, that it was going to start to play up. I told you. Right, so we're going to just have one track from the lovely Lady B, and I'll let you introduce, end us all out on this last tune before we end the stream. Thank you so much, everybody, and apologies for ending this one early. This will be the one and only time. And if you want to go over to the GY radio stream and listen to the interview with DJ Juicy, with Juicy Bits, and myself with PJ Harvey. You know, I've had that on the brain, and I always said to him, I bet I'm going to say PJ Harvey, and I've done it. It's PJ Murray, and he is the founder of Pride magazine. He has had a roller coaster life. I have read his book. Lord, have I read his book. And it's going to be a great interview. You have to tune in to find out about this gentleman's life and how he's turned it around. So listen in straight after this one. Go over to the GY Radio Mixcloud, or you can stay on the House Party Queen YouTube or on Facebook where it'll be screened. Lady B, over to you to play our last tune, and I'll see you guys next week.
Thank you, Alison. Kudos to all the ladies. Kudos to all our listeners. This one, very apt, is from Simi, and it is called Woman.
Woman don't suffer, lower everybody. If she not got him off a side, nobody we get assignments. So far, I'm enjoy forever. But you no pay attention to the intimidation she dey face. No be like water. You no get anything. If woman get confidence, then she no be woman. Woman get money, wanna share money. She no be woman. If she no got him up for side, they go dey push woman aside, and eventually, they go suffer woman.
I never talk you finish. I never talk you finish. I never talk.
Nobody be like woman.
I never talk you finish. I never talk you finish. I never talk.
Nobody be like woman. Nobody be like woman. Nobody be like woman.